She mocked my Christmas gift, and a week later, it was appraised at $80,000. The laughter started before I'd even sat down. "Did you make this?" Lauren asked, holding my velvet box like it was contagious. The family leaned in, hungry for amusement. "It's handmade," I said. "Something special." Her lips curved. "Special," she repeated, like the word itself was cheap. She lifted the necklace, its cameo catching the light, and laughed. "Oh, Grace, you made this. That's adorable." My mother's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. My brother looked down at his plate. No one spoke. And that silence hurt worse than the laughter. She dropped the box onto the table like it had failed an audition. "Sweet," she said, "but maybe next year just buy something. Real." I smiled, calm. "Sometimes the realest things don't come with receipts." She blinked, confused, but only for a second. The table moved on, the conversation flowed, but the moment stayed, a tiny scar on the evening. That night, when I saw her gift card tossed beside my glass, I decided something. I was done defending sincerity to people who mistook cruelty for class, so I had the cameo appraised. And when the jeweler said, "This piece is museum grade, 19th century, signed," I just nodded, slow. Because some lessons don't need to be taught with words, just time. And the next time she saw me, she'd learn what handmade really meant. Stay till the end. You'll see why her laughter didn't age well. The next morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. Family group chat. 20 unread messages, all photos from the night before. In one, Lauren was wearing the necklace, except she'd tagged it, Jacques craft fail. The caption read, "When your sister-in-law tries Etsy chic." I stared at the screen, thumb still. The light from the phone hit the half-empty cup of tea on my counter. Cold, forgotten. That's when I realized the difference between cruelty and confidence is the audience, and she always made sure she had one. By afternoon, my mother called. "Grace, don't take it personally," she sighed. "Lauren jokes like that." "She doesn't joke," I said. "She performs. She's just young. She's 35, Mom." A pause, then softly, "You've always been sensitive." That word, sensitive. It's what people say when they mean you noticed what they ignored. That evening, Mark stopped by to check in. He stood in my kitchen like a guest in his own home, scratching the back of his neck. "Lauren didn't mean anything, Grace. You know how she is." "I do," I said. "I also know you said nothing." He flinched. "It wasn't the time." "There's never a time for decency, is there? Just convenience." He looked small then, like the boy who used to follow me into the orchard, asking if I'd tell Mom he'd broken the window. Now he was a man breaking silence for someone else's comfort. When he left, I poured myself more tea, the kind that burns before it heals. 2 days passed. The group chat went quiet. Lauren had moved on to posting about her luxury finds. But one picture stopped me. The necklace, my necklace, on her dresser next to a pile of receipts. She'd listed it on a vintage resale page. Caption, "Handmade replica piece. Cute, but not valuable. $50 or best offer." I laughed. Not the bitter kind. The quiet kind that sounds like a match striking. The next morning, I drove to the old district. A jeweler I'd known from my restoration work, Mr. Calloway, still opened his shop every day, though his eyesight was fading. When he saw the twin cameo pendant I'd kept, my grandmother's, he adjusted his glasses and went still. "Grace," he whispered, "where did you get this?" "My grandmother's attic. Why?" He didn't answer right away. He took out his loupe, examined the gold frame, traced the engraving with his thumb. Then he looked at me like he'd just found something holy. "This is Ghiromedi," he said. 19th century. Original hand carving. I haven't seen one this pure outside of London." "How much?" He hesitated then. 80,000, at least. I left the shop without speaking. The air felt thinner, sharper. like I'd stepped into a secret that had been waiting to be discovered. All I could see was her face at that dinner table. The smirk, the wine glass, the way she dropped the box like it was beneath her. My humiliation had weight that night. Now it had value, and that changed everything. That evening, my mother called again. "She told everyone you overreacted," she said, voice uneasy. "I didn't," I said. "I just remembered who I am." "What are you planning?" "Nothing," I lied. "For now." Because revenge doesn't need an audience. It needs timing. I looked at the velvet box still sitting on my counter, the place where her fingerprints met my grandmother's gold, and I knew this wasn't just about money, it was about memory. And I wasn't finished being remembered yet. I didn't block her. People like Lauren count on silence, not witness, so I watched. Every day she posted something new: outfits, dinner plates, self-help quotes about living authentically. The word authentic meant something different to her. It meant applause. A week passed before I spoke to her again. She called on a Tuesday, voice sweet like sugar hiding salt. "Grace, you'll love this. Someone offered $20 for that little necklace you made. Should I accept?" "20?" I said softly. "Seems low for something priceless." She laughed. "It's not real, dear." "Neither are most things that sparkle," I said. A pause, a microsecond of confusion. Then her laughter again. "You're funny." "I wasn't joking," I said. The silence after that was beautiful. That same afternoon, I visited my mother. She was folding laundry while a talk show hummed in the background. "Lauren says you're being cold," she said, not looking up. "I'm being quiet," I answered. "It's not the same thing." Mom sighed. "She's sensitive. You know how social media is. People tease." Teasing is what kind people do to people they love. This was something else. Her hand stopped mid-fold. "Grace, please don't start anything." "I won't," I said. "But I might finish something." Her eyes met mine. For a heartbeat, she saw it. The stillness in me. Not rage, not hurt, just decision. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her at that dinner table. Her voice, her grin, my brother's silence. It replayed until I realized the memory didn't hurt anymore. It burned differently, like metal being reshaped. I went to the attic, pulled down the cedar box, and opened it again. The scent of age and cedar filled the air. The smell of history remembering itself. Inside was the twin cameo, untouched. My grandmother's note lay beside it. "Keep one for love and give one when love needs reminding." Love needed reminding, all right, of its worth, of its lineage, of its silence. I traced the cameo's edge with my fingertip. It was warm, almost alive. Then I smiled. "She'll remember," I whispered, "one way or another." 2 days later, at brunch, the first fracture showed. Lauren was telling a story about helping my mother redecorate the house, replacing old frames with something fresher. "The vintage stuff just makes rooms feel tired," she said. "You know how it is." "I do," I said. "It's funny. Old things tend to outlast new money." The table went still. Even Mark looked up. Lauren's laugh cracked a little. "You always have such interesting opinions." "I restore antiques," I said. "They teach you patience." Her smile faltered. "Not everything old is valuable." "You're right," I said, sipping my coffee. "Only the things made with care." She blinked, and in that single blink, I saw it. The first flicker of uncertainty behind her eyes. After brunch, she cornered me near the parking lot. "Grace," she said tightly, "if there's something you want to say it." "There is," I said. "You might want to check your messages." She frowned, confused, as her phone buzzed. I'd sent her a screenshot from a collector's page. Her necklace listed under rare antique Italian cameo, 19th century, estimated value $80,000. I watched her eyes widen. She read the caption twice, then looked up at me. "You're lying." "Am I?" I said. You said it was handmade, remember? Her face flushed, all that practice poise cracking like cheap porcelain. Where did you get this? Family heirloom, I said. But you already knew that. Grace, if this is a joke, it's not, I said. It's history. You just didn't recognize it. She tried to speak, but her voice came out thin. You could have told me. Oh, I did, I said softly. You just weren't listening. That night, she deleted the post. Then the next morning, she called me. Voice small, strained. Maybe I overreacted, she said. It was just a joke. I know, I said, but so was mine. She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't dare. Because that was the moment she realized I wasn't playing defense anymore. After that day, I stopped correcting people. Let them talk. Let them assume. Silence does the math for you. Lauren tried to recover her shine. She texted me articles about forgiveness, tagged me in posts about strong women lifting each other. I didn't respond. I just hearted them. A reaction with no words. Nothing unsettles a narcissist more. At Sunday dinner, she arrived first. Red dress, forced laugh, perfume thick enough to disguise fear. She hugged my mother too tight, called me sis, like it was a peace treaty no one signed. Grace, she said, sliding into the chair beside mine, you look beautiful tonight. I usually do, I said. A few seconds of silence stretched like glass between us. Then she reached for the wine. Do you want some? Sure, I said. Just try not to spill it this time. Her hand froze mid-pour. The memory of that first humiliation, the spilled wine, the laughter flashed across her face. I took the glass, calm as ever. Relax, it's only a drink. Through dinner, I folded my napkin into perfect halves, again and again, every crease lined, every motion precise. It wasn't just a napkin anymore, it was control. Folding, smoothing, keeping chaos in check. I barely spoke. I didn't need to. Silence makes people confess in their own way. Later, in the kitchen, she followed me. Her tone had changed, softer, calculated. Grace, about that necklace, I didn't mean to sell it, to mock it, to expose yourself. She blinked. I just didn't know it was worth anything. It was never about money, Lauren. Then what was it about? Respect, I said. You can't fake it, and you can't buy it either. She opened her mouth, then closed it. People like her hate debts they can't repay. For the next few days, I watched her unravel, quietly. Her social posts slowed, her tone shifted, suddenly humble, suddenly inspired by simplicity. She even reposted one of my old designs, tagged it timeless art, the same work she once called crafty. Funny how fear can sound like admiration when it's trying to survive. That Friday, Mark stopped by again. Lauren says she feels like you're mad at her, he said. I'm not, I said. I just finally believe her. He frowned. Believe her? When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. He leaned against the counter, uneasy. Grace, she's trying. She's performing, I said. There's a difference. He sighed. Can't we just move on? I have, I said, pouring tea. I'm just waiting for her to catch up. That night, as I cleaned up, I caught my reflection in the kitchen window. Calm, composed, unreadable. The kind of face people mistake for peace when it's really precision. I thought of Grandma Ruth's note again. Keep one for love and give one when love needs reminding. Maybe I'd given the wrong person the right lesson, because Lauren didn't need reminding. She needed teaching. And I was done being the student. The invitation arrived wrapped in gold foil. The Harper Foundation Annual Charity Gala. Lauren's idea, of course. She loved anything with her name printed in serif font. The theme, elegance through the ages. Irony has a sense of humor I respect. She called me that week, her voice rehearsed. Grace, it would mean a lot if you came. Family should be seen, right? Always, I said, some more clearly than others. She laughed. Not sure why it sounded like a threat. That night, the ballroom glowed like a confession. Crystal chandeliers, linen tablecloths, and a string quartet trying too hard. I wore black silk, simple, clean, the kind of quiet that makes noise nervous. Lauren sparkled in red sequins. She'd always mistaken brightness for beauty. When I entered, conversations paused for just a second. Old friends, family acquaintances, all turning to look. Lauren's smile faltered, barely. "You look lovely." "So do you," I said, like a warning sign. The night unfolded as planned. Small talk, champagne, her voice rising louder than laughter. Then, during the auction, she stepped on stage beside Mark. Her voice carried through the mic, sharp, rehearsed. "We're thrilled to share a special surprise item tonight," she said. "It's a piece from my personal collection, a vintage cameo necklace, handcrafted and symbolic of grace and giving." My name in her mouth sounded like theft. The room murmured with interest. The lights caught the necklace glinting at her throat. My necklace. I exhaled, slow. She decided to auction it. My humiliation had just gone up for sale. The bidding started at $5,000. Numbers rose like arrogance. 7, 10, 15. I could see her chest rising with pride, each offer a validation. That's when I stood up. "I'm sorry," I said softly, voice carrying without the mic. "But I believe there's been a mistake." Every head turned. Lauren blinked. "Grace, what are you—" "That necklace," I said, walking forward, "wasn't made by me." Gasps rippled like wind through curtains. "It's an original Girometti cameo, early 19th century, worth approximately $80,000. The auctioneer froze mid-bid. Mark frowned. "What?" Lauren's color drained. "That's ridiculous. The certificate of appraisal is with the jeweler downtown," I continued. "Mr. Calloway can confirm. It was my grandmother's. She left it to me." "Grace," she said, voice trembling, "you gave it to me." "I did, as a gift of trust." I smiled, slow. "But since you're auctioning it as part of your collection, I suppose we can discuss ownership later, legally." The room went dead quiet. Then a whisper spread like smoke. Her face tightened. She reached for the mic, but her hand shook. "I didn't know," she said weakly. "It was just—" "An accident?" I asked. "Like the wine?" That line landed like glass breaking. Mark stepped forward, confused and embarrassed. "Lauren, why would you—" She turned on him. "You knew she always hated me." I laughed softly. "No, dear. I pitied you." Cameras flashed. People whispered. Lauren stood there, trembling, trying to hold her composure. I took the necklace from her neck, unclasping it myself. The metal was warm, her pulse still on it. I handed it to the auctioneer. "Withdraw it. It's not for sale." Then I looked at her one last time. "You said I should have bought something real," I said. I held the necklace up to the light. Turns out I did. The applause started slow. A few hands at first, then more. Not loud, but respectful. A sound that felt like balance restoring itself. Lauren stood frozen, red dress, empty throat, smile gone. I walked back to my table, calm. The music resumed, strings trembling slightly, as if they knew they'd just witnessed something sacred. Later, in the restroom, she found me. Her voice cracked. "You humiliated me." "No," I said. "You did that yourself. I just turned on the light." She glared. "You ruined me." "You ruined your own reflection," I said, washing my hands. Water shimmered across the marble, clean, merciless. I looked at her through the mirror. Some stains don't show until you see yourself clearly. She stared at me like I'd spoken a language she'd never heard before. That night, as I drove home, the cameo lay beside me on the passenger seat, glowing faintly under the dashboard light. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like quiet proof. That truth, when patient, becomes its own revenge. And as I turned into my driveway, I smiled, because for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt seen. After the gala, silence followed me like perfume, not the quiet kind, the watching kind. People who once pitied me now called, suddenly checking in. My mother sent flowers. My brother didn't call at all. Lauren disappeared from social media for 3 days. When she reappeared, her bio had changed from creative director to full-time mom. Rebranding, I thought. Even shame can be repackaged if you spell it pretty. I didn't trust the quiet. It felt rehearsed, like an intermission before Act 2. And I was right. On Thursday morning, I received an email. Unsigned, no subject line. Just one sentence. You might want to check who insured the necklace. The sender was anonymous, but the attachment wasn't. A scanned insurance certificate, filed under Lauren Harper. Date, 3 days before the gala. Value, $85,000. My hand didn't shake. I just stared. Not at the betrayal, but at the effort. She hadn't been humiliated. She'd been interrupted. That afternoon, I stopped by the jeweler again. Mr. Calloway adjusted his glasses as I handed him the file. She insured it? He said. Looks like it. He frowned. She must have had it appraised using your earlier certificate. Someone leaked it. Someone? I asked. He hesitated. Your brother called me last week. Said he was verifying the piece for insurance. I assumed he had your permission. For a moment, the world tilted. Not dramatically, just enough to change gravity. Mark. My brother. The quiet one. The one who said she didn't mean it. That evening, I sat on the porch with tea gone cold, watching the sky turn from blue to confession. Every betrayal has layers, cruelty on top, cowardice underneath. And sometimes the deepest wound isn't from the knife. It's from who handed it to the person holding it. I called him. He answered on the second ring. Grace, you insured the necklace? I said. A pause. Then, she told me you didn't care about it. She told you or she convinced you? He sighed. She said she wanted to protect it. From me? No, from... He stopped. You're twisting this. No, Mark, I'm straightening it. His voice cracked. You always think you're so perfect. I just think I remember who raised us. After we hung up, I sat in the dark, phone in my lap. The kind of silence that used to scare me now felt familiar, like an old friend returning with new information. Someone wanted me to find that document, someone inside their circle, and I had to guess who. The next day at the local cafe, I met Evelyn, Lauren's so-called best friend, the type of woman who loved gossip the way bees love honey. She smiled before I even sat down. I always liked you, Grace. You're the only one who doesn't pretend. That's because I have nothing to hide, I said. Evelyn leaned forward. Lauren's been panicking, said you were digging into private stuff. She's terrified. Terrified people are honest people, I said. Evelyn smirked. You didn't hear it from me, but she asked her lawyer about claiming emotional distress against you. I almost laughed. For what? Teaching her self-awareness? She's desperate, Evelyn whispered. You embarrassed her in front of donors. She's losing influence. And she blames you. Blame, I said, is what weak people call consequences. That night, another message arrived. Same anonymous sender. No text this time, just a screenshot of a bank transfer. Mark Harper, L. Harper Insurance, $10,000. Date, 2 weeks before the gala. I closed my laptop, calm. The pattern was clear now. Not just betrayal, but collusion. They'd planned to sell my grandmother's heirloom and then split the profit. My brother wasn't silent, he was complicit. I didn't cry. Instead, I poured myself tea. Jasmine, the one that unfolds in hot water like truth in time. The steam rose, soft and white, curling in the air like a promise forming shape. I see you now, I whispered. Because revenge isn't about anger. It's about accuracy, and I had everything I needed to aim. The thing about truth is, it doesn't knock. It waits in corners until you're ready to stop pretending. I was ready. I called Mark first. He sounded cautious, tired. Grace, can we not do this again? I'm not fighting, I said. I'm inviting. Inviting? Yes, dinner, at my place. You, Lauren, and Mom, Friday night. He hesitated. Why? Because families shouldn't hide behind texts. A pause, then softly, okay. He had no idea the invitation wasn't peace, it was preparation. Friday came quiet. I cooked everything they liked. Roasted chicken, butter rolls, even Lauren's favorite lemon pie. You can disguise war as hospitality if you set the table right. Mom arrived first, nervous. Then Mark, stiff and polite. Lauren walked in last, in white, of course. Always a costume for innocence. Grace, she said carefully, this looks nice. It should, I said. It's the truth's first meal. She laughed, uncertain. What does that mean? You'll see. We ate mostly in silence, the kind that hums like electricity under the surface. Halfway through dessert, I poured tea for everyone. Do you know what this tea is called? I asked. Lauren rolled her eyes. Please don't tell me it's another antique. It's jasmine, I said. It blooms only in heat. Pressure makes it beautiful. She smiled stiffly. Deep. True, I said. Like family. Then I slid an envelope across the table. Since you like collecting things, I thought you'd appreciate this. Lauren frowned, picked it up, and froze. Her name. In black ink. The insurance document. Her own signature. She looked up fast. Where did you... From the person who insured my necklace under your name. Mark's fork clattered against his plate. Grace, that's not what it looks like? I asked. Because it looks like theft. And it looks like betrayal with your signature at the bottom. Mom's hand went to her mouth. Mark? He swallowed. It wasn't what you think. Lauren says a lot of things, I interrupted. She said it was fake. She said I was overreacting. She said family means support. I leaned forward, calm, voice low enough to make them lean in. And you believed her. You helped her ensure a lie. Lauren tried to regain her footing. You're twisting this, Grace. I was just protecting it. From me? Her lips trembled. From mistakes. You mean from consequences? Mark looked down. His voice broke. She told me you didn't care about it, that you said it was worthless. That's how betrayal works, I said. It always wears the face of someone believable. I reached under the table, pulled out a small black box, the twin cameo, my grandmother's. I placed it between us. This one, I said softly, never left my possession. This one stayed where it belonged, and this one still carries her handwriting. I opened it. Inside, the note, aged but clear. Keep one for love and give one when love needs reminding. I looked at Mom. Do you remember her saying that? Tears gathered in her eyes. I do, she whispered. Lauren shifted. Grace, please. No, I said. You had your stage. Now you get your mirror. Mark stood. Grace, this is between you and her. Don't drag Mom into... I met his eyes. You dragged her in the moment you chose silence over integrity. He flinched. I made a mistake. No, I said quietly. You made a choice. For a long moment, no one spoke. The clock ticked. The tea cooled. Then Lauren whispered, You planned this. Yes, I said. The way you planned your auction. The difference is, I'm not selling anything. You're cruel. No, I said, smiling slightly. I'm careful. Mom finally spoke, voice trembling. Grace, what do you want? I don't want money, I said. I don't want apologies that sound like PR statements. I looked straight at Lauren. I want you to remember this night every time you pretend to be kind. Then to Mark, and I want you to understand that blood doesn't excuse betrayal. It just makes it harder to forget. Lauren's facade cracked completely, her lipstick smeared, her voice small. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "I know," I said. "You meant to use me. The hurt was just collateral." She covered her face. "You've ruined everything." "Not everything," I said, standing. "Just the illusion." When they left, Mom lingered behind. She touched my shoulder. "That was brutal." "It was honest," I said. "She's broken, Grace." "So was I said softly. "The difference is, I built myself back quietly." Later that night, I placed both cameos side by side on my dresser, one untouched, one scarred by betrayal. Together, they looked complete, like truth finally had its reflection back. I didn't feel angry. I felt exact. The morning after dinner, I found a note slipped under my door. No envelope, just 5 words, written in Lauren's perfect looping hand. "You'll regret humiliating me." I smiled. Regret is for people who didn't plan. By noon, the calls began. 2 family friends, then my mother. "Lauren's saying you forged the appraisal," Mom said. "She says you're lying." "Of course she does," I said. "Truth always looks forged to liars." "Grace, she's furious. She's threatening to sue." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Let her. The truth has better lawyers." That afternoon, Lauren showed up at my shop. No call, no knock, just her silhouette through the frosted glass, trembling, deliberate. When I opened the door, she pushed past me. "You think you've won?" she snapped. "No," I said. "I think I've finished." Her eyes burned. "You embarrassed me. You turned everyone against me." "I didn't turn anyone," I said calmly. "I just stopped standing between you and your reflection." She paced. "You act so perfect, so above everything." "I'm not above you, Lauren. I'm just not underneath you anymore." Her breath came fast. "You ruined my marriage." "No," I said softly. "You sold it for $85,000. That line hit her harder than shouting ever could. Her face crumbled, then hardened again. She took a step closer. "You think anyone cares about your antiques, your sad little store?" I smiled. "Care? No, but they remember. That's the difference between noise and legacy." For a moment, she said nothing. Then she grabbed the velvet box from the counter, the twin cameo. "Maybe I should break it," she hissed. "End this once and for all." "Go ahead," I said. "Let's see if you can destroy something built to outlast you." Her hand trembled. She couldn't do it. She slammed the box shut instead, tears catching in her mascara. "You'll die alone, Grace." "Probably," I said, smiling, but not ashamed. She froze, because that's the one thing she could never say for herself. When she left, the bell above the door rang. Small, delicate, final. I watched her walk away, spine stiff, steps quick, like someone escaping their own echo. The shop felt lighter after she was gone, quiet, still, honest. I sat behind the counter, opened the velvet box, and looked at the cameo she'd threatened to break. Its carved face was serene, unbothered. You couldn't tell if it was smiling or mourning, maybe both. I touched its surface gently. "Don't worry," I whispered. "She already cracked herself." Later that night, Mark called. His voice was raw. "She's leaving," he said. "She packed her things." "I'm sorry," I said. "No, you're not." "You're right," I said. "I'm not, but I hope she finds something real next time, even if it's just a mirror." He didn't answer, just silence, heavy but necessary. When he finally spoke, it was barely a whisper. "She said you scare her." "Good," I said softly. "That means she finally understands me." I hung up, turned off the lights, and let the dark sit beside me like an old friend. It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was something cleaner. The truth was out. The wound was open. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to defend my worth. I just had to live it. 2 weeks later, the invitation came again. Another gala. Different cause, same city. This one wasn't hosted by Lauren. It was mine, the Grace Harper Foundation, dedicated to restoring women's heirlooms, both material and emotional. Because value, the brochure read, isn't about price, it's about memory. The hall shimmered under warm gold light, simple, elegant, nothing that needed to shout. My jewelry pieces were displayed on velvet stands, antiques restored, reimagined, reborn, and right in the center, under glass, the cameo necklace, not for sale, not hidden, just seen, finally, for what it was. People stopped to admire it. A woman whispered, "Is that the one from the gala?" Her friend nodded. "The real one. She owned it all along." I smiled faintly from across the room. Rumors are funny things. You never have to chase them if you're patient. They circle back wearing better clothes. Midway through the evening, a familiar voice cut through the murmur. "Grace." Lauren stood near the entrance. No red dress this time, no sequins, just beige, plain, uncertain, like someone who'd lost her outline. The crowd noticed her. So did the cameras. "Didn't expect to see you," I said. "I wasn't sure I should come," she said softly. "Then why did you?" She hesitated. "Because people don't stop talking." "They rarely do," I said. "That's why I give them something worth saying." She walked closer. Eyes on the necklace. "It's beautiful," she said. "I didn't realize—" "No," I interrupted. "You didn't believe. That's different. I made a mistake." "Yes," I said, "but you made it publicly. Now you can learn privately." She blinked, tears threatening to undo her mascara again. "Everyone hates me." "No," I said. "They just finally see you." She turned to leave. "Lauren," I said quietly. She stopped. "You told me I'd regret humiliating you." Her shoulders stiffened. "Look around," I continued. "No one's laughing anymore. Not at me, not even at you. They're just learning." "Learning what?" she asked. "That cruelty can buy applause," I said, "but not legacy." After she left, a reporter approached me. "Miss Harper, what inspired tonight's exhibit?" I smiled. A reminder that sometimes the most precious things are the ones people mistake for cheap. He nodded. "Beautiful sentiment. You're becoming quite the symbol for grace under fire." I laughed softly. "Funny. That used to be an insult." As the evening drew to a close, I gave a short speech, calm, composed, unrehearsed. "Value," I said, "isn't something other people assign to you. It's something you prove quietly, through time, through integrity, through endurance. Some of us are handmade. Some of us are inherited. All of us are worth more than people think." The room stood silent for a breath. Then applause, slow and genuine. Not for pity, for power. After everyone left, I walked to the display case and opened it one last time. The cameo gleamed under the lights. The carved woman's face half in shadow, half in gold. I lifted it, held it to my throat, and saw my reflection in the glass. Not the woman they laughed at, the one who endured, learned, and rewrote the narrative. As I locked the gallery door, the night outside was quiet. Not lonely, just earned. Revenge hadn't made me rich. It made me remembered, and that was enough. The house felt different now. Not emptier, just honest. No noise, no pretense, just stillness, humming low, like the world finally exhaled. I made tea the way I always do. Jasmine leaves, slow water, no hurry. The scent rose in thin curls, soft and certain, like something old remembering itself. I carried the cup to the porch. The evening was gold, the kind of light that forgives more than it forgets. The newspaper on the table had my name in a headline. "Local woman turns family heirloom scandal into national art movement." I smiled at that. People love turning pain into poetry once they think it's safe. But I knew better. Pain doesn't disappear, it just changes hands. On the table beside the cup sat two things, the cameo and Grandma Ruth's note. "Keep one for love. and give one when love needs reminding. For years, I thought she meant forgiveness. Now I know she meant self-respect, because love, without boundaries, isn't love. It's servitude in prettier packaging. Mark called once last week. He said Lauren had moved in with her parents. He said he might visit if I wanted. I told him I'd always want family, just not lies dressed as loyalty. He didn't argue. He just said, "You sound peaceful." And maybe I was. Peace doesn't always mean healing. Sometimes it's just the quiet that follows when the truth finally finds its place. I held the cameo in my palm, tracing its carved edges. For the first time, I noticed something small, a faint hairline crack running along the side. It hadn't been there before. But instead of sadness, I felt recognition. Beauty doesn't vanish when it's fractured. It becomes proof of endurance. And I suppose that's what I'd become too, a quieter kind of proof. As the sun sank, the gold light caught the cameo one last time. It glowed soft and dignified. I raised my cup to it and whispered, "Thank you for reminding me." Then I smiled, slow, certain, finished. 5 years later. The cameo sits in a museum now, under glass, under my name, on loan from the Grace Harper collection. People stand in front of it, reading the little plaque, whispering like it's holy. Funny thing, nobody ever asks what it's worth anymore, only what it meant. My foundation has grown. We restore heirlooms from women who were told their memories didn't matter. They send boxes, letters, trinkets. Each one arrives with a story that starts the same way. It's probably not valuable, but it's all I have left. And every time I whisper the same thing back, then it's worth everything. Sometimes I still see Mark. We meet for coffee. No apologies needed anymore, just quiet understanding. He tells me he's proud of me. I tell him I'm proud I stopped waiting for that sentence. As for Lauren, last I heard, she's working at an antique store upstate, a small one. Maybe she learned what real worth feels like when it sits in your hands and refuses to be sold. Last week, a young journalist asked me, "If you could say one thing to the woman you used to be, what would it be?" I thought for a while, then said, "Thank you for surviving long enough to become someone new." Because healing isn't pretty, it's powerful. Sometimes, late at night, I walk past that museum window and see my reflection layered over the cameo's glass. 2 women, one carved from stone, one from experience, both shining under borrowed light, and I always whisper, sometimes being left behind is the fastest way to get ahead. What would you have done in my place? Tell me in the comments, and if you've ever trusted the wrong people. This story is for you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me keep sharing these truths that too many women live quietly. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you listening from? I love knowing how far these stories travel.